When I woke up, I was alone. I was in a hotel lobby. I didn't have my purse or my keys or my phone. There was no one around me. I didn't really even know where I was. I went to the front desk to ask them where I was, and they told me that I was at a hotel in La Jolla, California. I tried to get a taxi home, but I didn't have my purse or my wallet, so I couldn't afford a taxi. And then I tried to get a room, and I couldn't afford a room because I didn't have my wallet, I didn't have purse, I didn't have money, I had nothing on me, it was just me. And they wouldn't let me get a room. So I found myself alone, and I was really scared. I knew that I had a lot to drink the night before. I knew I was still really drunk, and I had no place to go. The people at the front desk asked me if I wanted to call someone, and I couldn't think of anybody that I could call. So here I was at this hotel by myself with nothing. And at that point, someone walked through the lobby that had been at the party that I was at the night before. Very well-respected guy that I had worked with for a couple of years. And he said to me, "Sam, what's wrong?" And I was crying at this point. I was completely out of my mind. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I said, I need a place to stay. And he was staying at the hotel that night. And I remember him getting frustrated and angry with me. And he said, "Let's go. I have an extra bed in my room. You can stay there. I have to leave at 5 a.m. for a flight." By the time I got to the hotel room itself, it was probably 2 or 2:30 in the morning. And at 5 a.m. he left, and he gave me $20 to get a cab home. I didn't have my keys to get into my apartment, so I knew I couldn't go home, and I actually went to my friend's house that lived just down the street. And it was about 5:45 when I showed up her apartment, and I knew she was sleeping. Of course, I couldn't call her because I didn't have my phone. So I just remember banging on her door over and over and over again, hoping for her to hear me outside. I was still wearing the same clothes that I had been the night before, and I must have banged on her door for, a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes before she heard me and answered the door. I begged her to bring me to my apartment. She had a spare set of keys for me. And so I asked her to bring me to my apartment and to bring me to my car. I had figured that I had left my car at the bar that I had been at the night before. I had no recollection at this point at all whatsoever of what had happened. I don't know how I got to the hotel. I didn't know who I had been with. I didn't know what happened. I just had me. That's all that I had. She looked over at me from the driver's seat and she said, "Are you done now? Are you ready to make a change?" It scared me that I could be that person, that deep down I could be the person that did those things. I went to my first AA meeting that night. I guarantee you I smelled of alcohol. I'm sure it was pouring out of me. From the stories that I heard, I had consumed a very large quantity of alcohol. And I went and I sat and I listened and I didn't even know what to do. Again, I was still in such shock. And that weekend, I just locked myself in my apartment. I was so scared and so ashamed of who I was that I didn't want to be around anyone. I didn't want to be around my friends. I didn't know what to do. So as my phone was ringing off the hook and I was getting texts, I wouldn't reply to any of it. Something inside of me just said, seek answers. You have to find out why you did this. And you can never go back to that place ever again. This isn't you. And that weekend was a very powerful weekend for me. I realized in that weekend that I had these holes in my heart. And up until that point, I had been filling them with alcohol and busyness and my friends. And something told me that there was something in me that I was missing, and I had to figure out what that was. I had to fill the holes that were in my heart with God, and that nothing else would ever help or protect me. I didn't believe in God. I guess I did not believe in God. I just never gave him a second thought before that. The concept of God to me was foreign and just unknown. God said to me, "Seek me and don't let anything get in the way of your relationship with me. Get rid of every distraction that you have in life and seek me." I realized that I didn't have a God problem. I had a Sam problem. That Sunday, I walked in to a church for the first time. I was terrified of what I was going to see or what I was going to find and what crazy things those people at church were going to do. But it didn't matter because I knew I needed God, whatever that looked like. And so I walked in there, and as I was standing there, I remember looking up. There was a decoration on the ceiling of the church, and it was a big circle. And I remember looking up at the ceiling and at that circle, and I said, "Okay, God, I'm here. What do you want me to know?" And I can tell you that I didn't want to get up and leave. I wanted to spend every second of that day in that church. Not because of what they said, because I don't even remember what that is, but just the feeling of feeling welcomed and loved and not judged. That I got to go and sit down in a chair and just let myself be wrecked. And there were so many things that the Holy Spirit taught me in that year about not controlling my life and about living a life that God would want me to live. It was about learning who I am and the gifts and the love that God gave me. And the most amazing part of it was that I was loved already, automatically, right there. It took a while for me to forgive myself for who I had been. But when I got there, there was a lot of peace. And there wasn't the shame that I had before. And there really was a new Sam. And there has been. God gave me grace there. He met me where I was at, and he didn't leave me where he found me. I am Samantha Hall. I once was blind, but now I see.